Good afternoon, Professor Dennis J. Snower, Dr. Ulf Kampfer, Consul Klaus-Heinrich Watter, Mr. Thomas Losse Müller, distinguished guests. I am immensely delighted to be amongst this august gathering, and it is a great honor for me to receive this Global Economy Prize from the esteemed Kiel University. Thank you all for conferring this distinction on me. The contribution of Kiel Institute as a global think tank and economics research center has been commendable. My compliments to the professors and academicians of the Institute for constantly striving to be one of the apex global hubs for intellectual research activities. I appreciate that Kiel Institute has contributed immensely towards the economies of G20 nations by organizing many conferences and workshops for governments, policymakers, and researchers to discuss issues of global importance. Frankly, 40 years back, when I joined the State Bank of India, if somebody had told me, you would be here in Kiel one day receiving the Global Economics Prize, I would have been ready to have been knocked down by a feather. Because imagine the kind of odds that were there ahead of me. I come from a small town. I was, at that point of time, only a slip of a girl, though it may seem so now, but I was just 42 kgs when I joined. And I was handling people who were closer to my parents' age than mine. Plus, I come from a background of having studied English literature. So the challenge ahead was huge. But even when I was a junior employee, I had often thought that there could be many things you could do if you got into that position which enables you to use this platform. And today I thought I would share with you what we have done for 3 classes of people. The first is women. Professor Snower very kindly mentioned what we had done for our people. This happened because when I was heading the human resources for the bank, I found that even though about 33% of new entrants were women, by the time they came up to the senior level, they would come down to only 4% of the workforce. So we tried to find out which are the times when the women are falling off the workforce. And we found that there were 3 times. One, during their very early childbearing and child-rearing years. Second, when the children are between classes 11 and 12. Because in India, there is huge competition to get into the very good colleges. And especially the mothers, they take off in order to support their children through all kinds of tuitions and coaching to enable them to get into these organizations. In India, the woman is still the primary caregiver. And for such situations, it is expected that the mother will do whatever is possible for the child. And the third time was when parents or parents-in-law fell sick. It is not possible in India for everybody to be in a hospital at this point of time, and therefore it is extremely important to have good home care. So we decided, therefore, to bring in this sabbatical to enable them to address these 3 specific periods of their life. And I'm glad to say, in the last 3 years, almost 1,700 such women have taken leave but have managed to come back to the workforce. It has been good for the organization. We have not lost very trained people. It has been good for them because they have done what they believed was their duty and not felt guilty about shortchanging the organization. But over and above this, we found that though women have 50%, they comprise 50% of the population, but when you look to real estate, women own less than 1%. And that becomes a very big problem if they are trying to set up a business because they have no collateral to offer other than their own jewelry. And even that, sometimes they need the permission of their family members. So in order to incentivize women to be part of the real estate ownership, we said that any loan that you want to take, especially housing loans or car loans, if the name of the woman is sole name or if it is the first name, we will give you a 5 basis points cut in the interest that you have to pay. Initially, when this was done, there was a lot of talk. 5 basis points is too little. But today, starting from around 7% women who were taking loans for houses, the number of women has come up to 34%, where both the couple come together with the name of the woman as the first owner of the house, only because we have given this particular incentive. Thereby, we have ensured that more and more women end up owning property. Similarly, we found that a lot of women, especially small entrepreneurs, they were not in a position to scale their business, mainly because they don't have any collateral. And therefore, we created in India what are called the self-help groups. So these are clusters of women who get together and guarantee each other. It purely works on social peer pressure. But again, I can tell you, in India, out of the self-help group movement, 22% of the loans that are given by our bank. So this was one way of addressing the issue of women. But we found that there were other issues that also needed to be addressed. And I will talk about 2 more of those. One, of course, was the financially excluded. About 3 years back, when the new government came to power, they found that today about 58% of households still didn't have a single bank account. So what was done was, a call was given that within 7 months period, the banks will do their utmost to open 1 bank account per family. As a result of this, what we did was, in India, you already have what is called a unique identification authority that provides a unique identification to every single person by scanning their fingerprints and their retina scans. Taking that as the KYC, the Know Your Customer, because many of these people would not have been able to provide any identity papers. But taking this biometric as the identity, we went ahead and in a space of 7 months, opened 110 million accounts. When we first opened the accounts, 97% were zero balance. And many people in society or in opposition said that this was a big advertising or a big publicity stunt, and nothing will come of it. I must tell you today that from being 97% zero balance, it has now come to 21% zero balance in a space of 1.5 years. And the amount of money I have in those accounts is 160 billion rupees. Each of these accounts, on an average, has a 4-figure balance. Now, what does this do? What it does is, it creates a credit history for these people, which now we are beginning to leverage and give them loans to enable them to carry out whatever activity they are doing at a higher level and a better level. Not only that, because we now have the fingerprints, we have created in India a biometric-enabled payment system. So you just need a smartphone, a little dongle that will scan your fingerprint, and a little printer with a Bluetooth that will print out what you are doing. And with this, you don't need a card, you don't need to remember pins. Even if you're illiterate, you need nothing other than your fingerprint. We are able to cover the entire country with this, enabling them to do their banking services like anybody else. Okay? This was, of course, regarding the financial inclusion piece. But there is one other piece that I would like to talk about. Because we are in the public sector, we are mandated to employ 1.5% people from those who are challenged or handicapped. So we have in our ranks a number of people who may be visually challenged, who may be hearing impaired, who may have other challenges. What used to happen was, because the government mandated their recruitment, they would be mandated, but thereafter, they would not be given any proper job. However, they would be on the payrolls. Now, this did nothing for their self-esteem or their dignity, neither did it help the organization. In the last 4 years, what we have done is we put a specialist team of people who know these things to work with our people to check which are the processes within the bank where these people could be used. For instance, those who are visually handicapped, if they are given talking software, they can become very good telecallers who follow up whenever there is a default on the loan. Similarly, we need a lot of documents to be scanned because we still need a manual signature, but after it is taken, the document can be recorded. We need thereafter to put this in the digital channel for their operations. So scanning was a very big activity. And we found that if you put a visually challenged person with a hearing impaired person, you get a team which does fantastic work in these kinds of ways. So the person who's visually impaired would keep feeding the documents. The person who's hearing impaired would merely see on the screen whether the documents have come properly, and the matter would go ahead. So this way we found that we had processes within the bank where these people could be fruitfully employed. Today I'm glad to say that almost 168 such people are doing a full day's work in the bank. And their teams tell us that these people are more productive than the fully abled ones. Today, therefore, what we have done out of our own experience, we have set up now a center of excellence for the integration of those who are challenged. And we are sharing the knowledge that we have got in the bank with other banks, with the idea that slowly we will spread out to other industries to try to see how best such people can be made fully productive members of our society. So I think, overall, today, we are doing a number of things over and above what banking has mandated that we do. We handle 150 rural training institutions. The job of these institutions is to give vocational training starting from 3 months to 6 months to 1.5 years, and then get them placed or put them in a job. As we said, we have huge challenges ahead of us. India is a country where almost 1 million people join the work stream every month. So 10 to 15 million people joining work stream every month, because we are still a very young nation. All of these people have aspirations, and it is very important for us to understand those aspirations and to fulfill them. For us, this is an article of faith, because we believe that the have-nots have nothing to lose. It is the haves that have a lot to lose. And therefore, we need to walk the extra mile to ensure that all of us are on a platform where we can come up to potential. I wish to thank the Institute again for doing me this signal honor, and I would love to take up on that offer of yours for the study of advanced economics. I really would. But let us see where fate takes me. But in the meanwhile, thank you very much, and all the very best to the Institute, to the city of Kiel, to Germany. Thank you.